The second element of myofascial energetic release I'm going to speak about is touch. And touch is the foundation of this work. Deep, sensitive, loving touch is the foundation of this myofascial energetic release. I've been doing touch therapy since 1973 professionally and teaching it for at least 40 years, maybe more. And I know that touch is, as therapy in this work, you have to touch with sensitivity, you have to touch with love. But it's also a skill to learn. It's a method. And the method takes some time to learn. Yeah, we touch with our fingers, with the back of our hands, with our knuckles, with our thumbs, with our forearm, and with our elbows. So we touch with all of those different tools. And the object in this work is to touch to release fascial holding patterns, yeah? To touch and get to the place in the fascia of the client that you're working with that is held. And once you get to that place that is tight or held, then to be there with that place and to allow the fascia to melt or to release. And as a professional, what I feel when I'm touching like that, I feel the release as butter is melting under my touch. And the fascia starts to open and release, and it feels like butter is melting. One thing that's very important with the touch is to learn the technique. You need to learn the technique well. But the main thing, the main ingredient is that you touch with love. It's like 10% of it is technique, and you have to learn that 10% very well. And the other 90% is to be able to touch the person you're working with love. And that's what really has the strongest effect. If you have good technique and you touch with love, that love penetrates them. Touch, I just was reading by one fascial expert, is 5 times more emotionally expressive than the eyes. It used to be thought that the eyes were the most emotionally expressive part of us. But they found now that touch is 5 times more emotionally expressive. So the space in which you touch from is so important. So in my work and in my trainings, I teach people to touch from a space of love and compassion, so that's what the person is feeling, that's what the person is experiencing through this deep touch. Is they're experiencing the release and the opening, but they're experiencing a very loving touch. And that love penetrates the cells of the body and transforms them. So love is the key ingredient to touch with, yeah? Another thing that we're doing in myofascial energetic release is we're touching and releasing the physical body. We're releasing the fascia, and we're releasing the muscular holding and the holding around the bones. But we're also touching the energy body. So sometimes what I teach people is imagine that what you're touching is an energy body, not a physical body, and that you also are an energy body, because 2 energies can merge and melt together. And when that happens, that happens where you're touching deeply, but you're energetically connected on that level with your client, with the person that you're working with, what happens then is a major opening or expansion in the client, but not only in the client, but in the person who's doing the work, in this case, myself. If I'm touching from that space, it's transforming me as much as it is transforming the person who I'm touching, or maybe even more, depending how open they are. So if you can touch and connect with a deep, loving touch, and at the same time, connect to their energy system, or what's called the energy body, with your energy body, then you never get tired. It's always nourishing and refreshing. And you're always in response to what the client needs because you're very sensitive. Two things more I want to say about touch. One thing is that with deep body work, you penetrate deeply into the body. In the way that I do it and teach it, we have a number system, so it never goes too deep. It's always on a level that the person can manage well. Yeah, because there's a feedback loop that I'm asking them, how is that? And they're sharing, and how is that touch? Is it too much? Is it okay? Yeah, they say you can go deeper, or it's a little too deep. So then it's a constant feedback loop, so you're always staying on a level with the person that feels good for them, and challenging them sometimes too. The other thing with touch is that first part is like penetration. It's the male side of it. It's the yang side of it. The second part is the receptive, more feminine, more yin side, where you're listening with your hands. You're receiving information. You're allowing the person energy, but also the information of what you're touching, like the quality of fascia that you're touching and how it's releasing or how it's holding. You're very sensitive to that. And you're waiting also. You have patience. And in that feminine side of touch, you have patience and you're listening. And that quality has to be together. You have to learn to go in and be able to penetrate. And you have to be able to receive information and listen through your touch. When those two qualities come together and you start to work at a deep, deep level, and you can allow at the same time touch to be a deep meditation, because when you can touch deeply and let go of your mind and come into a state of real presence, then your touch becomes very, very powerful. You can impart spirit to the person, and at the same time, your touch, as you're working, you go into a state of meditation and connection. And when that happens, the sessions are beautiful for both the person receiving and the person giving. Thank you.